All right. Welcome to Garden Gathering Hosting 101 with KGD's own Sterling. Today, you will learn the who, what, where, when, and why of hosting an event in your community, market, or school garden. We will have opportunities for questions and answers. So leave your questions in the chat and I'll get them to Sterling when the time is right. As you may know, this class is a free class, but we do graciously accept donations of all forms. So go ahead and scan this QR code you see on your screen and donate however you feel you should. And we are going to jump right into it and get with Sterling. So go right ahead, Sterling.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here with us tonight. My name is Sterling, and I'm the Garden Activation Coordinator here at Keep Growing Detroit. Last summer was my first season with Keep Growing Detroit, and I helped coordinate a bunch of different community events we had in different gardens all around Detroit. You'll see a bunch of pictures of them on these slides. And I'm happy to be here to talk to you guys about hosting an event in your garden. So we're going to go over all the basics of kind of starting to get your brain rolling and being prepared to host this event in your garden. So first, the who would you like to attend your garden gathering? What do you want to go on at your garden gathering? When is the target date? Where, of course, is your garden? And we'll talk about things to think about when you consider having an event in your garden space. Why is it important for us to host gatherings in our garden? And then creating a checklist to keep you organized before, during, and after the event. So the who would you like to attend this event in your garden? When you picture this event in your garden, in your mind, who do you see there? Do you want to engage like a specific population, such as just the surrounding neighborhood? Is the garden connected with a school or a church, and you'd be inviting those church members or those students or faculty to this event? Maybe you just want to make your event open to anyone who wants to come. That could be anything from neighbors to people who live on the other side of town. If you don't have a specific community already in place in the garden, sometimes you might have to do a little bit more outreach when it comes to getting people there. Now we're going to talk about outreach. So now that you have that idea in mind of who you want to see at your garden party, consider what would be the best way to reach out to them. If you do have a specific community in mind, like the church members or the students at the school, you can start with putting up flyers in those community spaces just to get the word out about your gathering. Also posting these flyers on social media, possibly making phone calls because this is people you already have connections with. Now, if you don't have a specific community in mind and you just kind of want to cast a broad net, you can use this website called Eventbrite, where you can post your events just for everybody to see. If somebody is researching events in Detroit, you can get them to find your event easily. Also,
do you have
things to think about? Things to think about when you choose what you would like to go on. Would you need a facilitator or an instructor to kind of be the lead on this event? Or is this an event that you'll be leading? Gardens are really good for like just providing a really nice, lovely, peaceful setting for a variety of different events. We've done wellness events like meditations or sound baths. I've seen a lot of different movement events like yoga, Tai Chi, I've even seen a garden dance class, and then also creative events just like the sign painting class. When considering what type of event you want to host, just kind of keep in mind what your goal is uh, for this event. Are you looking to raise money for your garden space? Or are you just simply looking to open your space to the community and, kind of just establish your presence in the community or the neighborhood? You'll want to keep in mind a budget if you have a budget. Will there be material costs? Will there be a cost for the instructor? And then from there, you can decide if this is an event you'll need to charge for, if you want this to be a free event, or also kind of like how we do at KGD, we do a sliding scale where kind of let people choose their ticket price based on their income level, just to make it accessible to everybody. So those are just some things to think about when you're choosing what you want your event to be, what you want the topic or the what you want going on at your event, basically.
Okay, awesome. So now that we talked about the what, can anyone speak on an event they've hosted or they not it doesn't have to be at your garden. Possibly you've attended someone else's event in their garden and they kind of inspired you to do something like that. Do you have an example of a what you would want to do in your garden? Anyone? I can speak on my garden. I don't have a community garden. So I will share with you, like, eventually, if I do get a community or garden or something like that, I have a long time goal of doing tea parties on Sundays. I think that'll be fun. So, so let's see. We have teapot, natural dyes with
Yeah,
black
I did a
water.
tea party. It was great.
It was, yeah, the tea party.
Yeah.
I think those are so fun, especially on a Sunday, wind down, hang out in a quiet backyard. So we have pea pie. Would you like to talk about the natural dyes? Is this something you've done already? Oh, goldenrod. I love goldenrod. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Hi, my name's Claudia.
Oh,
Hey, thanks so much for hosting this talk. Love what you guys are doing.
yeah.
I hosted a workshop over natural dyes last fall, and at the time I was living in Kentucky, and so black walnut, we collected some of the husks, the seed pods, and some black or some goldenrod flowers, and then started a fire and boiled down the different plant matter, and then made our pigments, and we used natural fibers and dyed that.
Okay. Awesome. I love that. I didn't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, I didn't know that goldenrod could, produce a color, after you boil it down. So that's good to know. I was just,
Yeah, you need a mordant so the pigment can adhere to the fiber,
okay.
but it's easy to find online, and it was really fun and like a passive way to just hang out and get to know people and also learn about natural dyes.
Okay. So that's something now that you learn that you would want to bring here to Detroit and have an event around that.
Yeah, I would love to do that in the fall time.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. That is definitely doable. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right. Next we have Sonia. Go ahead with your idea. Karaoke. I
I
love
want to.
good karaoke, right?
I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of something. I'm sorry, ladies. What I wanted to do was, I got a business called Hilbogo,
Mhm.
and so I do the recycling, reuse, and repurpose of beads and everything like that. So I would like to have something like that, karaoke mixed with bead making, doing jewelry and things, making something that you can take home to wear.
Okay.
So would that be like you would want to lead that? You would want to teach people to do the bead
Yeah,
making?
I would teach them how to do that because I have a business on the site called Hilbogo LLC. So that's what I do, repurpose everything and make something beautiful out of it, one of a kind.
Okay, nice. I would love to see that. All right, Alicia. You said you all have a book club on Wednesday. Okay, so this is something you actively do in your garden right now?
We're going to begin in mid-June to have the book club. The garden is part of the church, and Wednesday Bible study has ended, and so now we're just going to use a book, a non-religious book, a book that's popular in general culture, to get people to talk about more impact on their lives, like looking at the book through a spiritual lens.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. I would like information on that.
Okay.
Make sure you send that to
We're gonna be reading The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, and if you do have some events planned already or coming up, make sure you put that in the chat or you can email that to me and we can add that to our newsletter as well, so we can spread the word for you as well.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna move on to red flower growers. You want to give some more information on your idea? You said hosting events for neighbors to increase wellness and food knowledge.
Hi. Actually, the previous message, I've never hosted an event.
That's fine. Yeah, I saw your previous message. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're here to help you so you can get that going. Yeah.
I've never hosted an event. This is really like my first full year. But I became a farmer in the interest of providing fresh, healthy food to the community because I noticed that the kids were like grocery shopping at the gas stations and liquor stores. And so I would like to host events that cater to the neighborhood or whoever wants to come, but that teaches or encourages wellness and increase the knowledge of, healthy food choices and those type of things, health and wellness type of events. But I'm not real good at event planning. Like I'm a great person to help people with their event, but that's not my strong suit. So I'm taking this hopefully to get some ideas and stuff.
So you're looking to kind of like provide people with information.
I mean, I would like to have some sort of classes to teach them about growing or health choices, or I'm really interested in teaching people how to grow their own food, harvest that food, and then go right inside of their homes and make a meal out of it. Because in my community, transportation is a huge barrier, and the lack of grocery stores.
Right.
So kind of along those lines, if I made that clear.
What can I ask? I've heard of you before. I've heard of red flower growers before. Are you guys on the east side or the west side?
We're on the west. I'm on the west side, Evergreen and Schoolcraft in the Brightmore neighborhood. And I'm a transplant specialist. So I sell transplants, but like I said, I really want to get something going in my community because they're shopping at the gas station and liquor stores for their food.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we would definitely be able to assist you in, getting an event planned, give you the structure on how to go about, doing that. And we would definitely can assist you with that.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yes, no problem. All right, let me jump back up to Tamara. She said she wanted to do candles and crochet in the garden. She does candles and crocheting, so that's something she would like to do with her community in her garden. So that's a good one.
Crochet too, so I would love to come to that.
Great, yeah. So we have Jakita. I'm hoping I'm not saying your name wrong. You could go ahead and jump in with your idea. Give us a little bit more detail or background if you like. I like the
Hi. I think I'm gonna just I put my couple ideas. I think I'm gonna do the foot washing ceremony and then the release and a mood ritual. And I might do a canning and a mocktail class. I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
So
We've got a mocktail class coming up next month. So that'll be fun.
yeah, actually you emailed me about that.
Okay, great. Oh, okay. So that was oh yes.
Yeah, I was like, how did she get my T must have gave you my number. I was like,
Well,
how she
and we
yeah,
have
I
a
was
list of everybody and what they like.
Oh, yeah. It was kind of surprising because I'm doing a couple things around the city, but yeah, I wouldn't mind teaching a canning,
Mhm.
but anything to like do some healing circles or something to help with the men and women because it'd be good to do a yoga in the garden or we used to do like a sage smoke in the garden where you do like healing circles and you let the men and women come and just kind of just let people get it out because we need some safe spaces so we can help each other. So I'm gonna look into what the lady that was before me because I stay in North Rosedale, so I need to go over to her garden on Evergreen because I didn't. It's so many around here, and I don't be paying attention a lot. But
Mhm.
I'm doing some of them, but I wouldn't mind getting new ideas of what I can do to be to make it, cost efficient, and then maybe how I can set it up. I kind of know how to do it, but I'm always looking for new ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, we have another one from Tamara. She was also saying CPR classes would and she would have a instructor to teach CPR classes. That is so important. That's a really good one. Everybody needs to have CPR training at some point in their life. So that is a really good idea for the community. Well, also we have Stephanie. If you want to go ahead and jump in. You said you haven't hosted any events yet. That's fine. I already love all. Oh, okay. Never mind. You would just say you like everyone's ideas. That's great. Yes. Glad you are here. Hopefully you are learning some things or getting some good information. We'll have more for you coming soon. Joyce Dallas, you want to go ahead? You want to have an event for the garden club you belong to?
Yeah, I think that I'm a member of the Master Gardeners of Eastern Wayne County. And we're not all master gardeners, but it looks like I've been wanting to have something. And I also want to include, I have a veggie garden on my easement because my backyard is very shady. So I grow my vegetables on the easement in front of my house. And I'll be out there gardening and people will stop and talk. And, it's sort of like I'm the lady who's out there gardening on the easement and, people stop and ask for a tomato or this and that. So I kind of want to keep it social, but also perhaps, kind of just, engage people with, if they have an interest in gardening, answering any questions, sharing ideas if they want to, do something on their own. I don't exactly know the structure of it, kind of a cross between social and perhaps a little informal gardening information.
Okay, great. I'm sure that is something we can help you with is structuring that for you. Now, really quickly, before I get to the next person, has everyone filled out an application for the gathering event planning class? If not, I'm gonna put
No.
I'll put the link in the chat so you all can have that and apply. All right, y'all, give me a moment. I'll get that for you. So the next question, did I lose it? Okay, Elaine Matthews. Did you want to go ahead and jump in?
I'm sorry, sure. Good evening. I came in a little late, but hi to everybody.
Hello.
I work in Southwest Detroit, the 48217, and we have a community garden called Our Place of Peace. We have actually last year had a drum unity celebration and a summer end of the summer kind of celebration for the community. I would love to be able to host maybe some type of chess club for kids and some type of summer movies for families in the garden. So I'd love to be able to have a stage or, some type of, platform where families can come out and enjoy, summer in the park kind of. In the, right there on the streets that we service in that area, 48217.
Okay. Awesome. That's a great idea. I like that one as well.
I love the idea of the movies. I actually saw like the inflatable big screens they have now. They have inflatable ones that you can blow up and like host a movie like outside. And
Okay.
you just have to have the machine to a projector to project it onto there. So that sounds like it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
People could
thank
bring blankets. Yeah.
Awesome. I love them. All great ideas. All great ideas. So if no one else wants to chime in with their ideas, we're going to go ahead and jump into the next segment.
Okay. Those were some really awesome ideas. I'm getting excited about these events that are going to be coming up during the summer and fall. So the next thing to think about is when you want to have
I
your
don't know. They
event.
called my name.
Hello? Did somebody want to say something?
That was an accident. You're muted.
No, that was me. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not sure if you called me or not because I didn't hear my name. Lachelle Hudson. You care about?
Nope, I did not call you, but go ahead. I'm sorry if I skipped over you.
Oh, no problem. Ordinarily, I wouldn't mind it because I don't really like.
Oh.
But ordinarily, I'll be happy when I get skipped over. But my neighbor right there, she gave me a little encouragement. She probably haven't seen my name, but the one that was a 48217.
Mhm.
And actually, we in the same block, really.
Yep. Hi, Michelle.
Hey there.
Hey, girl.
She gave me strength today. I heard her.
Hey, that's what you need, a little encouragement sometimes.
Yeah, a little encouragement. And especially when she said movie night, because that's what among other things that I was saying I wanted to host in my spot. And but I was gonna use, how you can I'm trying to be as cost efficient as I can. I already had a projector and everything because I usually have it like where it's electricity at, but there's none on my spot now. So I would need to get a generator perhaps because I have the everything else except for I was gonna use maybe like a white sheet against because I have a big fence or put it up to my rain catchment system over there. The post. So would that think that'll be I usually I do it against something else, but how do you think that would work with the sheet against the fence or up on the post, attached to both two posts?
I think I don't see why it wouldn't work as long as it's white.
Yeah.
You get a white background, as long as you're not having the sun, make sure the sun isn't shining behind it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If it's like shining behind it, it will mess up.
Sure, it's like secured so the wind isn't moving it around.
Right. Okay. I didn't think about that. So it probably would be better if I put it against the fence.
Alicia, she said, yeah, the sheet can't be too thin. Yes. Make sure it's thick enough so the light isn't passing right through it. So
okay. And also because I'm into like herbs too, because I would like to introduce it into our community. Because it is like a lot of older people. Well, I know older people all over, but you know, a lot that I'm familiar with in our area. And you know, like try to introduce them to herbs as a supplement to their diet to maybe help alleviate some of the medication, you know, and just things like that. Just more like you know, for oh Lord, medicinal and you know, culinary aspects of using herbs for.
Mhm.
And I wanted to like have an events to show, you know, how easy it is to just have, you can have your little garden anywhere, you know, whatever, regardless of how big your space is, and you know, and you know how small, you know, because you can, you know, it's just the ease of having a little garden for, you know, the for the person, regardless of how big their space is. And I wanted to like, you know, have like different size containers and or have them bring, you know, some things that they might be interested into transforming into the pots for the things.
Mhm.
And using color, you know, as like focus and therapeutic, because you know, like some colors, not some colors stimulate certain parts of your, you know, brain and things like that. And so maybe, you know, just a color that, you know, calls to them, or you know, they can focus on. And I know I'm rambling, but I want to introduce that to you know, as far as like therapeutic and meditation aspects of you know, having colors and plants and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I like that. I'd like to see you develop that. That's a good one.
I like that color therapy idea.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I thought of like, you know, like painting the pots, you know, as something, you know, added, you know, it's in addition to, you know, still just saying, oh, you can just plant this in this pot. Oh, there you go in the event, you know, just do something, you know, more interactive too. And I thought maybe a simple decoration, you know, using the colors could be incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, this is Elaine Matthews again. Let's talk, you know, kind of maybe because we're right there together. I know we haven't done that in a long time, but you know, some of the things I'm hearing you say, we can collaborate on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because we're literally like right next to each other, really.
Yeah.
There's a couple of houses in between us.
Yep.
Yeah, because I've always thought that, I mean, because we kind of spoke before, because we, you know, we always can, because you have certain ideas and I have certain ideas. They kind of can intermingle with each other and, you know, help, you know what I'm trying to say. I can't think of what I'm trying to say right now, but
Yeah, collaboration is a good thing.
yeah, collaborate. But yeah, my mind just went blank. Y'all gotta forgive me. I've been
No,
up
you're
so
fine.
long again.
You're
And
fine.
I'm
Yeah, work together in your community.
driving and I'm trying to multitask and all that other stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All righty. Well, thank you for that, Lachelle. We look forward to you developing those ideas. All right, you ready, Sterling? Mm-hmm.
okay, so now we will jump into when you're going to be hosting your events. You want to decide a date, and you definitely want to have a backup date because the weather's unpredictable. And I've seen a lot of outdoor events have to be postponed due to weather. And it's nice to have that backup date already beforehand. Even if you don't, end up needing it, it's good to have that beforehand so you're not having to reach out to people after that rain date or after whatever the weather is, so you're not having to reach back out to them. They'll already know when that backup date is. Choose a date that works for you and whoever will be helping you coordinate this event, your team. If you have an outside instructor that you're going to have coming in, you would want to check with them and their calendar to make sure it works for them. You also want to look into what may be going on nearby on that same day, just because you don't want to cause any friendly competition. It's good to maybe even try to collaborate with a person who might be hosting a small event nearby. Like, hey, if I help you promo your event, you can help me promo my event. And that's a good way for us to like come together as a community and get each other out to each other's gardens. For weekday events, like if you're gonna do something like Monday through Friday, it's really best to do it in the evening time, when people aren't working or at school. Weekends are a little more flexible. You can do, you know, pretty much any time on the weekends, but you definitely want to keep in mind if you're going to be hosting events during these hot months, during the summer, you want to stick to having early morning events like before noon or evening events after 6 p.m. just to avoid that midday heat and avoid having people out in that. And that's about it I have for as far as picking a day and time.
Okay. And one thing I want to add to that about picking the right day and time when we are thinking about gardens and different things we can do, you have to know what is relevant for the season. So if you're doing something around certain crops or like the goldenrod, I feel like goldenrod isn't out until like end of summer, early fall, I believe. So if you're doing things that are specific to the season, just know when that is. So you know that you're in tune with your garden. Because you might want to do something that's not relevant at that time. So keep that in mind as well. So with that being said, people that have hosted events before, or you've been to a garden event, were there certain things that you thought about or noticed with your event that you maybe should have planned for, or in the future you might want to look at differently? Like, is there certain things that you need more information about? Like what you said, the weather, timing, staff. Staff is a big thing. I've seen it a lot. People plan an event and it just be them. So it's like you're planning an event, you're hosting the event, setting up the event. So it's like you don't have time to enjoy the event. You don't have time to be with your guests. So you have to really keep that in mind, like what type of staff are you going to have? And staff can be volunteers, staff can be your family. So give me some examples or things that you've seen or things you would like to know more about when you're trying to plan the when of your event. Okay, Maxine, you said you had to move away since last year, so you're trying to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah,
All right.
I had to move away. The garden that I think it was Sterling, maybe, that came down and did the soil test at the house I was renting. But due to some circumstances, I had to leave and I had to move out to Sterling Heights. And I just came back to Detroit. I bought a house, so I don't have to worry about asking permission. And we want to just kind of go all out. And so I want to connect back with your organization and figure things out. On the topic of hosting an event, obviously I'm still renovating. I'm still trying to fix the backyard, has a whole bunch of concrete. And so I'm just like trying to figure out raised beds, how deep. I would love any of your input because I'm trying to do something that might pertain to this, what we're talking about today, which is I'm really big on foraging. And one thing I noticed is that in Detroit, there's an abundance of food just in unkept places of the city that are not sprayed. I stumble upon raspberries, wild, mulberries. There's all these medicinal things that I see, like plantago, that I use for my skin, my hair, for even like, bee bites or bee stings. And oh man, I can go on and on. There's so much out here. Things like wild lettuce. I don't know if y'all know about wild lettuce, but
I haven't found wild lettuce yet.
okay, wild lettuce. I have the seeds because I brought it from Canada.
Okay.
But that stuff, if you have like anxiety or depression or things like that, you can make like a tincture with it and take some, and it's just this amazing calming effect. There's all these things that are just right around us that people don't even know. They're busy mowing the lawn, getting rid of it. And so I feel like I'd love to just have an event like that where we talk about the beauty of the natural stuff that we have access to right here, and it don't matter what neighborhood. I was on 7 Mile in Van Dyke, and my daughter and I, we got so much mulberries in an alley where like there's an alley, a big tree just with a bunch of mulberries. We made we made jams, we made pie. I mean, we have access to this nutrition, whether we have cash or not. And so I'd love to just talk about that.
Right, that's an awesome event, like a foraging event. So before you moved away, did you host events like that, or did you host any type of gardening events, or you're just really getting back?
I didn't. I did it all online on my other channel that I had with my beauty products that were all natural. I would host events there, or I would have events online, or I would just kind of get my team out in Canada, but never in the US.
Okay. Okay.
But I would love to. I think that's something that I'm
Oh, yeah,
passionate about.
We have we do have a herbal series that we do with KGD. So I mean, I'll share that link as well. I actually emailed that to everybody too. So you can attend that and maybe get some ideas or see how that looks. So you know, it's a lot of foraging, a lot of ideas, people how to, you know, identify the things in their yards before they mow it down. So yeah,
That's good to know. And just to be quick, oh, people are talking about foraging. They love that. Okay. But I'm feeling like I don't understand Detroit soil. That's kind of my struggle.
Okay.
Where I come from in Leamington, Ontario, the soil is so fertile. You can just toss seeds and it'll grow. But then over here, I struggled last year with getting my things to grow the way it usually did in Canada. And so I think I need to maybe connect with some of y'all to know what kind of compost, where to go to get those sources. If there's a garden close by or a community garden like we had last year, I don't know if it still exists, where to grab.
We have that. Yep, I'll get the link for you for that as well. And we do have
that class coming up. We have a soil improving class coming up next month, I think, in July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for that too. And that'll take place at the farm, I think. So that'll be cool to come and see that in person.
Awesome. Can you drop an email link so I can just ask you where to get that the fill for our beds?
Yep, I'm gonna give you mine and Sterling email.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we have Red Flower Grower. He said you want to be able to enjoy the event. Yes, you do. That's the worst thing, to have an event and not be able to
my God, yes.
So like the main thing is just staffing. Like I said, it could be friends and family, volunteers, you know, people from your community, you know, your neighbors. You know, you can get them involved. So you'll definitely be able to enjoy your event. You want to provide healthy meals, water, seating, and shade if possible. You know, the easiest thing for shade, if you don't have shady trees, is to pop up tents, you know, the 10 by 10 tents, or they come smaller, they come larger, depending on, you know, how big your event is. But for shade, you can, like I said, do that with any type of tenting. All right, Alicia, she was saying, she said, share the seeds of the wild lettuce. So yes, we want some of that wild lettuce seed. I want some as well. So Maxine, we got you on our list. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, let's see. Any more questions on wild seed signature? Mulberry tree. I'm just reading through these to see if we have questions. I see we have a lot of comments. Oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, the mulberry trees, once they are growing, you have those forever.
Yeah.
Also, the idea of foraging.
Another good source for the for going on herb walks. I don't know if any of you know Miss Raven Lawson. Some people call her Regina Lawson. Some people call her Mama Raven. She's a big herbalist in the Detroit community, and she's also a part of the Riverfront Conservancy. So she hosts herbal walks out in the community and shows people how to recognize things that, you know, most people might consider a weed, but can actually be used for, you know, medicinal or edible purposes.
Awesome. All right, I'm just reading through the chat. I'm seeing a few comments related to the things we were just saying. Anyone have any more questions?
What was the name of the individual, excuse me, that you said Mama Raven?
Yes, Mama Raven is what she normally goes by.
Okay,
Yep. Sometimes also it'll say Regina, it'll say like Raven Regina. And her last name is Lawson. And I know the Riverfront Conservancy already has a few dates posted where she's doing her herbal walks.
great.
Okay, and Tess, make sure you check the chats. Michelle has left a message for you. And Sonia, yes, she suggested whenever you're outside, please be prepared for bug repellent. And there are a lot of natural recipes with a lot of herbs that we can find in our backyard to make our own bug repellent. We have lemon balm. You can use what's the good one? Tea tree oil. That's the favorite. So y'all make mine
Lemongrass.
every year. Yeah, lemongrass, like that's all that stuff. So definitely want to have bug repellent. You know, I keep a lot of basil in my garden that keeps the mosquitoes away. So
Watch out for the ticks. The ticks are supposedly bad this year. So
okay. Yes, definitely watch out for the ticks.
people have been scaring me with their stories.
Oh
So
no.
I hope nobody encounters them.
Oh no.
Anyone know what a natural repellent is that we grow for the ticks?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not sure
know
for
anyone
ticks
for the ticks.
specifically.
Yeah, we
I
can-
know that opossums eat ticks. So if you have opossums around, hopefully they're
I
eating
look
them.
up that. Oh, that's a good one. That's a
Mhm.
good one. Get you a pet opossum, put it in your backyard.
I saw a huge one outside the other night. I couldn't believe how big it was.
Oh
But
my
I was
goodness,
like,
he's
okay,
eating all
I
your
guess
ticks, so you don't have to worry
yes.
about it. So, well, I did leave our emails in the chat. So if you want to follow up about the natural tick repellents, we can look into that further for you. Ask some of our staff members about that as well. All right, we have, oh, okay, that's a conversation with Michelle and Tess. Okay, Maxine, she says garlic, rosemary, lemongrass, and peppermint is a repellent for ticks. Okay, great. So, oh, that's in the, I want to copy this. So this is it. This isn't in the chat to everyone. I'm going to copy this. Is this okay, Maxine, and share it with everyone? Okay. There you go. So this is a recipe from Maxine to help with the ticks. And she left. Okay. And she left a link as well. Red Time is another one from Sonia. Am I saying your name right, Sonia? Or is it?
Yes, it's Sonya.
Okay, great.
So thank you.
Oh, yes, you're welcome. All right. That was awesome. Great chat. Anyone else want to chime in, want to add about the when? What do you think about, or what do you have questions about for when you want to plan your event? Different things you should look out for. Nope. All righty. We're going to jump into the next section.
Okay, so where? We already know the where. The where is your garden. So there's just a few things I want you to think about next time you go to your garden. And just kind of when you go, just imagine the event taking place and consider these things. Is your garden accessible? Would a person with a disability be able to safely move through your garden, safely get to the area of the event? But also, if they'd like to take a look around, is the ground appropriate for them to get around on? It's just important to make sure we can accommodate people of all abilities when we open our gardens to the community. Also, is there enough space? You want to have open space to set up for the event. If all of your space is dedicated to growing, you might have limited space for the event. So that's just another thing to consider. How much open space do you have? And also, does that space have some shade? If you're gonna have people outside, it's usually nice to have some shade. If you don't have shade, like Nasha said, sometimes there's tents that you can rent if you don't have one, but it is nice to be able to provide people with some protection from the sun. Another one is restroom access. Is there a restroom or a porta potty nearby available to the people that come? This isn't a deal breaker when it comes to hosting an event. Especially if it's just like an hour-long yoga event and you let people know beforehand, there won't be a bathroom. But I have been at garden events and that has caused people to have to leave. So that's just something you definitely want to consider when you're hosting an outdoor event like that. Another thing to consider is, what is the parking like? Is there going to be enough parking for people to park and not have to walk too far and just feel comfortable where they're parking? And do you have the materials needed on site, such as, like I said, the tent, tables, chairs, if those will be needed? Do you have those things on hand, or is that something you're going to have to rent or borrow? So those are just the things. Next time you go to your garden, just kind of look around. Like I said, imagine your event taking place and think about those things.
All righty. So now we have Althea. I see your hand is raised. You have a question?
I do. Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
Good, Althea.
Hi.
You guys are inspiring me so much. I want to do a restoration for women in the garden, and it's like a spiritual cleansing with prayer, with candles. It's like I want them to do something like do a personal cleanse, and then they make a candle with the lady that comes and make candles. And once they do that, we would do like a cook off with the things out my garden. And so they'll have a basket and they'll go in the garden and they have to use the herbs and the vegetables to do use a hibachi grill. My problem is space. So I've been trying to be real creative. I live in houses on one side.
You're
Rouge
breaking
Park
up a
is
little
like
bit.
right across the street.
Okay.
The Rouge Park is right across the street from my house.
Okay.
So I was thinking maybe if I set like the tents and tables and chairs and order porta potties up on the Rouge Park side, but they could like mingle, like go to the garden. Is that too much for an event to be going back and forth across the street?
It's
I don't think I have enough space to do it in my yard.
the only thing with doing it partly in the park is that will require city permits. You'll have to get permission from the city since it is a city park. So I mean, if you want to do that, I want to say their rental fee starts at $50 for people in the city. You'll just have to go online and apply. It's called Community Pass. So if you did want to use Rouge Park, you would just have to let the city know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing, 'cause, people can walk back and forth. I mean, you just have to think about like traffic and all that stuff, safety issues. You want people walking back and forth across the street. Like, I don't know.
Street.
Right, I was about to say that. Yeah, I don't know the traffic over there, so.
It's not a lot of traffic. I'm on a side street. I'm between Chicago and Plymouth Road. So
Okay.
I'm just thinking like, because I'm not inviting a lot of people, but I did think about using a youth group as my servers and my hostesses so I wouldn't be tied up. But I'm just thinking because I really think I want them to be creative. I don't want them to just come to the garden and see it and don't utilize it. I want them to learn, some things there. So why not cook, pick the fruits, use it, and we all taste it and be creative since that's part of the event for the garden, right? I
Right.
just don't know how to pull it all together
Mhm.
with
Okay.
the space.
Yes. So definitely possible. So you would just have to rent this park space and just, plan it around there, just planning it out. But it's definitely possible. That's the route you want to go.
So my question is to everybody: if you came to an event like that, um, and you had to go across the street to the garden for even if it was just like organized to the point where you come and get the stuff out the garden at one time, but the main event stuff would be set up in the park. Would you stay for an event like that, or would you like, nope, I'm not leaving. This is whack, and I leave?
I've been to an event like that at a garden in Highland Park. They would
Okay,
have like a big lot across the street from their garden. So they would, set up their garden as well. Like if they have extra stuff, they put it across the street. And it's not a busy street. So, you really kind of, think about it, but you're walking across the street and it's not like a big thing at all.
okay, all right. That was my only thing because I was nervous.
Yep, and Red Flower Grower said she'll stay too. So, yep, Peapod, she said she'll stay. So, you're good. It's a good idea. All righty. Anything else? All right. So we're gonna jump in. Red Flower Growers. Go ahead with your question, comment.
I have a question. I don't know if it's gonna come up in your presentation about liability during these events. And if anyone is familiar with any like garden liability policies or insurers or anything like that to share, any information like that to share? Or do you suggest having I'm an entrepreneur. I've had construction companies and all of that. And so as a business owner, I've had, lot familiar with liability insurance, but like, what do you feel or thoughts or comments about liability when you're hosting events?
You got anything on that, Sterling? You want me to jump in?
No, I think that's a really good question though, but honestly, it hasn't come up for me, but now that it has come up, that's like something I want to look more into for sure.
Right.
I-
From a business standpoint, you definitely want
Right.
to have, some type of insurance. With you all being community school market gardens, I'm sure there's some type of insurance you probably carry anyway.
Yes.
I know with events, you can get what's the name of that? It's a COI. It's like a temporary insurance, like for that event.
Right.
So your insurer will insure that event for that date and time.
Yeah.
So it's just something you carry for that exact event. So it's possible to get that for your
Oh,
insurance.
like a rider.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Elaine, you got
Yeah.
some information on that as well.
Yeah, that is an excellent question. And I'm so glad that came up because sometimes we don't think of those things. But we did a rider for an event. I think it was for like 2 or 3 months, and we were hosting something during the time that we actually got a very small grant, but we had to do a rider. The church, because the garden is actually through the church, so the church carries a liability insurance because those type of things will come up. So we have a church attorney that actually wrote that into our policy. So that's a part of it. And if you're going to be hosting something on a consecutive, basis, like maybe during the summer or something, you really do maybe want to look into that. And it's not awfully expensive, just depending on what your budget is. But it's kind of like, renter's insurance, where people think is really high, but it's really not. So I just kind of want to add that because that's a great question.
Yes, it is. It really is. Yeah, great question. You said drop the liability. You want the name of the things we just said, Red Flower, like the writer and the
Yes, and yes,
okay, yeah.
any of the information that anyone mentioned, even for the, I think you guys might have said CEO or CIO,
The COI.
one day event carrier or something like that, anything, please put it in the chat so I can get that. Thanks so much.
You got the COI, the certificate of insurance. That in there right now. All right, do we have anyone else with any more questions or comments you want to make regarding the where? Since we are on the where, can I hear about some of your gardens? Like how big are your spaces? You know, do you have this space? Like what do you focus on in your garden? I know we have some people that focus on herbs or flowers or just grow zucchini. Is there like a certain focus you have in your garden that makes your garden special that you want to share with your community?
Hi, this is Red Flower Grower. So I grow anything and everything almost. I'm not at full capacity yet. I do have the 2 hoop houses, the 2 high tunnels. I won a grant for that. Right now, I have 8 lots, and my home is adjacent to the property as well. And I'm still like in the development stages. Every day I have a different idea on something else I might want to do. But I think that answered the question. And I'm on the west side again in Brightmoor, Evergreen, and Schoolcraft.
You're on mute, Naja.
Sorry, everybody. I always say you said you had 8 lots. That's pretty big. I was gonna say you must have like a big staff. You already have your people on hand to get the ball rolling.
No, actually, my story and how I got into this is I hadn't planned on doing that with the land. I was gonna have like the ultimate bachelorette playhouse, play whatever, and God convicted me to begin to grow food. And so that's why I'm still in the development stages and figuring these things out as I go.
Mhm.
I don't have it all together. I don't have a staff. Farming is something completely different for me. I was an electrician. I come from landscaping and construction background. And so this is an unfamiliar territory. I'm enjoying it, but it's very unfamiliar for me to be responsible for growing food for people.
Mhm. Well, I'm glad you have gotten into this, you know. That is your ministry. That's a big thing for your community. So we appreciate you. We look forward to supporting you and growing what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate all of y'all, and you all are welcome to stop by.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, no problem. All right. Anybody else want to tell us about their garden? Oh, let me see. Who I have some people in the chat. Sorry. He said, oh, Tamara, he has 4 lots, a community garden, 2 a full garden on 1/2 a lot. It's just grass. You grow any and everything, and you're located on the east side, down from the city airport. You said you don't have a staff, just a few people that may stop and help. And that's always helpful, having somebody to stop by and help at any moment. So that's great. Good to see. We also have Michelle. Did you want to talk about your garden on the north end? I see you have a greenhouse and you grow perennials, medicinal herbs and vegetables. That's a nice garden. I'm not too far from the north end, so I'm gonna have to drop in on you, see what's going on over there. And Althea, you said she's very close to you. Okay. All right, anybody else want to jump in and talk about their garden? Their where?
I will.
Okay.
So my garden is probably half of my backyard. And I'm like the other young lady. I love growing everything. So I have medicinal herbs, cooking herbs, vegetables, fruit, flowers, edible flowers. I'm really getting into a lot of the edible flowers this year because every year I kind of get more and more involved. I have all raised beds. No, I have one little flat piece that's not raised beds, but majority of it is a raised bed with what you call the thing that bend over like a little tunnel. I have one of those, so I'm going to add some of those to grow from one bed to another. I don't know what you call them.
Oh, the archway, like an archway.
Thank you, the archway. So I have an archway entrance, but I'm going to put some archways in the garden this year as a goal. And I started with one little small bed 3 years ago, and now this is where I'm at. I would love to get a lot, but I would like to be near the lot. And where I'm at, there's no lots over here. I'm not too far from Brightmoor. I'm right at the beginning of Cody Ridge. So I don't know. I've just fallen in love with nature. I was not a nature girl. I was not the one to go camping. I was none of that. COVID made me want to be healthy and do more natural things. I love natural things. I just wasn't in love with nature. Now I've fallen in love with growing and utilizing the things that I grow. So I just grow a little bit of everything, and I'm starting to educate the community, selling at the market, just being more active in the community with what I'm doing. I'm like the other lady. I'm a counselor and a therapist. I was so far from gardening. People look at me now and be like, "What? You?" So that's kind of my story.
That's great to hear. Good to hear. We look forward to your garden growing and supporting you in that. Okay, anyone else want to speak about their garden? Where they would like to hold their events? All right, we do have a question from Red Flower in the chat. This is to everyone. She is asking if anyone is have any community connections in North End. Her son needs some community support so he can purchase some lots for an art garden on Harmon Street. Okay, so we actually are having, at the end of the month, we are doing the land acquisition class here on Zoom with T. She knows the ins and outs of acquiring land in the city. We do have a somewhat partnership with the Detroit Land Bank. So, and I think I know this area you're talking about on Harmon Street as well, but I'll definitely get that information for you and I'll email it to you. You'll receive an email about that class that's coming up. And Joyce, would you like to jump in and talk about your garden?
Yeah, I just have it's just here at my house, and I have just a standard city lot and a side lot. So I have mostly flower beds and stuff in the yard because it's not real sunny. I have some hostas and shade-friendly plants behind my house where it's shady, and more perennials and, pollinator-friendly stuff. And like I said in the chat before, I have quite a few volunteers. That's what I call, weeds that I don't try to get rid of. I have goldenrod, Queen Anne's lace, a few other things. And on my easement, I grow a few veggies every year. And, I tell people, most people know they can help themselves. I said, but, just take what you need, leave some for other people. And nobody, so far, I've been doing it for years. Nobody, seems to abuse it or anything, but, people will help themselves to tomato or pepper or whatever, and it's just me here. So, it's more usually than I could use myself. So I'm glad to share it.
Awesome, thank you.
Question though, the garden in Southwest that somebody's talking, 48217, is that the community garden that's associated with Southwest Church of God?
Yes.
Yes, that's what, yeah.
Yes, this is Elaine Matthews. Yes, I'm over that garden.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm over on Deacon, and there was a tree planting.
Yes,
Keep growing, not keep with
the greening of Detroit.
that's how I found out about that garden over there. That's great. It's great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're located where?
On Deacon.
I've heard about you guys. I haven't been over there. I'd love to come see it.
Yeah, I want to come over and volunteer at your garden too.
Oh
So,
God, please. Can you put your information in the chat?
okay.
Awesome, great, we making these connections. Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, you are an answer to prayer.
All right, Lachelle, you said you have a question?
Yeah, well, kind of course, because once again in the 48217 area, a lot of people had concerned about trying to plant things over there with the marathon close by and our air quality and affecting our plants. Whatever they would, what they think. I also wanted to have like an awareness class like that, like what, like it would be a safe way or safe to plant, or what's, what not to do as far as like trying to plant edible foods, to give them a peace of mind, because a lot of people they're concerned about that over there. Even though I had a garden all my life and I haven't grew a bird hair or anything, but so just give them a peace of mind.
Yeah, this is Joyce again. It was several years ago, quite a few years ago, and I cannot remember who organized it or had it happen, but some folks from the EPA were in 48217 and they had a soil testing vein, and we could, they told us how to collect a sample and did. And they, where I am, they said everything was good to go. My dad always had a vegetable garden and I had always grown things, but it was good to have that reassurance. I know some people in other parts, on the other side of Schaefer, I'm between Schaefer and Visger, but on the other side of Schaefer, some of the areas people did have some problems, but then they, have been using raised beds and things like that,
Yeah, I just wanted to have some type of awareness for a peace of mind, and just, tell them that these issues have been addressed. This is what was found, like you said, the different testing and the results that's, available. Because it's a few entities that have done that. I just want to make it available just to make people feel better, or try to make them feel better anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with your garden resource program membership, you can actually get a free soil sample done.
That's what I was going to say, because we actually had that done.
Yeah, I've had because not even just Keep Growing Detroit, but they just came out. Romando, he just came out recently, and Leslie did in the past. But it's other, like I said, it's other places that that have done it too, like the Michigan State and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. I want to make this, like I said, I'm saying awareness of what lack of however else to think about it, just to just to get that type of information out to the community that they have been testing, that's been tested. They can even come to Keep Growing Detroit to get a test. Just let them a peace of mind. Make them feel a little better, because for real, I still hear people mention that when they talking about planting gardens.
I hear that too.
All right, awesome.
Yes, I want to have classes like that,
Oh, yeah.
workshops, seminars, whatever you want to call 'em.
Mhm. Okay, and also, red flower growers, make sure you check the chat. Michelle Mantle left a note for you about lots. She has some lots available on Harmon. Okay, anyone else with a question, comment before we move on? Want to talk about your
Yeah,
garden?
yeah, hi. It's Joanne Polite. My garden is on Lafayette. It's actually, well, our garden. Let me not say mine. St. John's Garden. Actually it's on our lawn, which is really expensive, and I'm realizing I don't know the footage. I'm gonna check that out. Really small. It's been there for forever and kind of privately by the church run, and we're trying to get to the place that the community is more involved in the garden, well, in the church and in the garden. So that's what we're doing now, and I'm here because I'm trying to think of some things to do. I was thinking if we could have maybe a hustle class periodically, just to get people to, get used to coming across the street or, down the block to the garden and then see what's going on, and then maybe being able to say that it's something they'd like to volunteer or, no, it's open. It's actually called a garden and community space because we like people to come in, kind of hang out as well. So that's what we're doing, and that's why I'm listening now. Sterling, I've talked to. Hey, Sterling, gave her a big hug, and Ramondo has been out to do some things, with us. So we're just trying to expand.
Awesome. Hopefully you are getting some useful information and you are in contact with Sterling. So I'm sure she is getting you together. So, so that is great. All right. And Tamara says she lives down the street from St. John, so she will let the people in the community know. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, Peapod. I know I keep calling you Peapod. I like that name. I really like it. But you want to go ahead and jump in. You have a comment about the garden you're doing, the Rosa Parks Youth Garden.
Hi, yes, thank you. Thank you so far, everyone, for sharing your ideas and just sharing parts and bits and pieces of your life. It's really cool to listen. I am a garden coordinator at Capuchin Soup Kitchen on the Connor site, and I work for an after school program. And I am looking for a place to take the kids to this summer as a field trip. Maybe just if anyone has like any community green spaces that we could host different activities on, and then also get a tour of what you have going on in your green space, like whether it be gardens or like community building things.
Okay, anybody have any activities in mind for students the ages 9 to 13?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Sterling, the Family Fun Day, would that be something? That would
Possibly. I know the 9 to 13 age range, they're getting to that cool. But I feel like they could still have fun at that event. Naja was talking about our Family Fun Day, which is coming up on June 10th, which would be at Keep Growing Detroit Farm. And we're gonna have a bunch of different activities going on, and there will also be a free concert from Joe Riley, who is a local educator and musician. And all of his music is like really positive, just related to connecting with the earth and connecting with each other as a community. So we're really looking forward to the concert and
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun. Okay, thank you. I just put that in my calendar. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. And you see the message from Tess Peapod. She said you all should connect, talk more.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you, Tess. I'll reach out. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All righty. So if there's nothing else, we are going to jump into our next segment.
All right, why? Why is it important for us to have these garden gatherings? So I'm just gonna state like a modified version of our vision here at Keep Growing Detroit. Our vision is that there are places to grow food in every neighborhood in Detroit, and that these places can be integrated into the surrounding area and help maximize community development opportunities that benefit residents. So that's basically saying that we don't just want the gardens to be just places where food is grown and sent out to people. We also want these gardens to enhance the community and bring the community together. Here in Detroit, we have a lot of open green space, and it's important to activate these spaces and claim these spaces to give back to our neighborhoods and just to give back to the community in general. They're places where we can meet, support, and provide for each other on a community level. And just transforming these spaces, not just changes your life as the gardener, but it also changes the life of the people in the neighborhood and the community when they see these places coming together.
All right, so that is the why of why we do these things for our community. You know, community is important, you know, as we see right now, you know, everybody is collaborating, or we all, you know, have a general idea or a sense of why we do what we do. You know, we all have our stories. We know we heard the story about how COVID, you know, transformed Althea's thought about outdoors, you know, so there's always a story behind why we started our gardens. You know, I started my garden because, you know, I love nature. You know, I'm actually a nature lover. I love being outside. I love any and everything about nature. Sometimes not all the bugs, but, you know, I love nature. I just enjoy sharing my garden with my family and friends, you know. So anybody want to discuss their why? Like, what is your motivation to want to have a community gathering? Like, why do you want to bring people into your space? You know, what is the story that you want to share? You know, how are you trying to inspire your community to start their own garden or volunteer at your garden?
I'll go. This is Jaquetta.
Mhm.
I am a descendant of Geechee Gullies and of Caribbean. So that's a way of us grounding,
Mhm.
being with the earth. So in its healing properties, and it's just a way to get yourself mentally I mean, you never hear farmers gang banging. I mean, you know, it's too much work to do. They don't have time. Everybody is literally working. So it's kind of like farming is a way to, I know it's real healing. So I started mine because it's just in my DNA. I really didn't want to do farming, but it's just, it's a forced spirit at one point. I mean, I literally wanted to I got so mad at a lady the other day about killing a bumblebee. I just wanted to choke her. But I know I couldn't do it, but I was just so mad, like, we need bumblebees. And I was explaining to her, like, we can't kill the bumblebee. So I was just a force, it's just in me and who I am. It's in my family, the ones that's in South Carolina, they're farmers. So as much as I denied it, it just comes out. So that's just who I am. So, and a lot of the stuff that I was taught, and a lot of stuff I literally wasn't. So some stuff just literally comes to me like, oh, I put fish heads and guts in my garden. My grandfather never told me that until like it just comes to me like, okay, just put it in your garden. So I do it more for healing purposes and grounding, and just to teach kids and people that it's cool to grow your own food and go out there and get your own stuff, you know. And because it's real and it's healthier, and it's not as hard as people think. And we really need to grow our own food, can cook, and go back to a little bit of what we used to do in the South or wherever we from, because we were able to control our diets better. So it boils down to that. Just for me it does. So that's why I do it. But I did not plan, like many of the women said, to be into farming, but if it's just a forced thing and it's just who I am as a whole. And from my it runs through my DNA.
Mhm.
I have an issue with, I guess, food insecurity. I really got disgusted that there are more of a selection of ramen noodles in most of the supermarkets than there are fresh fruits and vegetables. And we have this space that we spend more time mowing and more money mowing, where we could be growing food that we really need, beside the fact that the community here just doesn't seem to come together. You know, we're all in our own little spaces, especially a lot of the seniors and even the kids. I haven't seen anybody jump rope or play outside, much less dig in the dirt. It's just so important to be part of the land. And that's why I kind of got involved in the garden that we have.
Nice. Those are great whys. I love that. Love that. Anybody else want to share their why? No more whys.
I'll share.
Okay.
This is Alicia again.
Yeah.
I just want people to understand how inexpensive it can be just to grow your own food. That you do not have to go to the market or the store to get something that's healthy and that tastes good. And you can do it in a very inexpensive way, in pots or your easement or the backyard. And that's why I started the garden.
Okay, awesome. I like it. Love the whys. All right. Anybody else want to share their why?
Yes. I got to come up. For me, it's a little bit of what everybody has said already. But to me, it's to be our vision statement. I'm sorry, let me start with the mission. Our mission is to be a welcoming, inclusive community focused on people, organic gardening, and strengthening bonds among cultures in creative ways. And then our vision is to be a vibrant, inclusive community that is economically robust, has food equity, and more importantly, is healthy. That's kind of my why.
All right. Nice. All right. Maxine, I think you're about to chime in.
Well, y'all have to forgive me. I'm in and out trying to do renovations while I'm in this meeting. But my big why on why I'm starting this is just, it's kind of a stepping stone to what I want to do. Just getting a grip on my own gardening is important because sustainability is my big why. I want to be able to provide everything possible my family needs, whether a grocery store exists or not, whether any outside sources exist. So for me, we've been doing this for years, where we collect, when we eat our peppers, we shake out the seeds. We eat our squashes, we shake out those seeds, and we use that. We've been growing for years like this without the need to find seeds or buy seeds. And so for me, it's just kind of teaching my family. When I was sick, I remember I was balding, I was very ill with autoimmune disease, and I was no longer working that big job anymore. I was on welfare for like a few months, and not being able to provide proper food, and learning about community gardens. And my daughter learned to eat vegetables. She loved eating vegetables after that experience of seeing them grow from seed to, and so just being a part of that, I think that's my big why, is continuing that legacy. I feel like it's a legacy of just showing that it's possible for you to be self-sustaining, and that you can have this amazing food supply, finance, whether you're strapped or whether you have finances or whether you have time or whether you don't, so that's my big why.
Awesome. Another great why. I love it. Do we have anyone else want to mention their why? All righty. So we're gonna hop into the next section. Sterling is gonna tell us about how to create a timeline to get these ideas everyone just talked about, how to get these in progress.
Creating a timeline can just kind of help you stay organized as your event comes up. A lot of times you kind of plan the event and then you might forget about it for a second. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got this event next week, you know. And it's just to avoid those feelings of like pressure or anxiety, it's good to just kind of have a timeline and be able to do things week by week or every couple of weeks to keep the ball rolling and keep you and your team organized. So you want to start planning at the very least, maybe like 6 weeks in advance. And at that point, you want to come up with your date and your backup date in case of weather, and create a list of all the materials that you'll need and decide which of those materials you have and which of them you might need to purchase or borrow or rent. Consider things like tables, chairs, tents, even having some bottles of water there is good. Even if there aren't any other refreshments, it's nice to have some water when it's an outdoor event. Also contact if you're going to have an outside instructor or facilitator for the event. It's good to contact them at least 6 weeks in advance. You want to make sure it works, the timeline works for them, the date works for them, and also just so you guys can kind of stay in constant communication leading up to the event. So that was, roughly 6 weeks before the event. About a month before the event, you want to start putting up your flyers, maybe sending out like a save the date, setting up your Eventbrite, where people can look up your event. People can just search on Eventbrite, events going on in Detroit, and find your event that way. You want to touch base again with your staff and instructors again at that 1 month before. 2 weeks before, you want to personally like invite people like, hey, this is my event, even though you've already probably sent out that Eventbrite and posted flyers everywhere. You want to start really personally inviting people and telling people about it. And again, just always good to check in with your staff and the possible instructors for the class. 1 week before, you want to send out reminders, letting everybody know, hey, you signed up for this, or hey, you can still sign up for this event that's going on next week. And you want to make sure any items that you needed have been purchased or rented and will be available the day before the event. You don't want to say stuff, I'm going to get it on the event, because that's just, leads to anxiety, and it can, things just happen. You might have to find a backup. You don't want to have to do that the day of. The day before the event, you want to send out some reminders to people. Hey, don't forget, this is tomorrow. Can't wait to see you. If you have questions, reach out. Also, the day before, make sure, like I said, all your materials and everything is ready to go for setup in the morning. The day of the event, of course, you and your staff, you and your people will have a setup time. You get there, set up everything. It's good to have maybe like some balloons or a sign that can just be eye-catching, so people can easily locate the garden. Then during the during the event you want to check in with your people who have come. You can do that formally or informally. You can just walk up and say, hey, I'm Sterling. Thanks for coming to my event. You know, nice to meet you. You can make it a little more formal by having like a sign-in sheet where you're asking people maybe like for some contact information so you can follow up with them afterwards. And then after the event, of course, you would send, you know, a follow-up just thanking people for coming. And if you're interested in getting feedback on the event, sometimes you can send out like a short, just attendee survey, asking people their thoughts on the event and how it went. And that's about it. That's all I got for the timeline. You're on mute, Naja.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that, Sterling. That was a great timeline. Definitely a good way for everyone to get started to plan your event, you know, brainstorm, get things rolling, you know, just get your ideas out. So, did anyone have any questions about the timeline? Did you want to add something to it, or did you need to understand something more about the timeline?
Did you think I was missing anything on the timeline, Naja? Is there anything, you know, you posted a lot of events. Is there anything that particularly stands out to you that I might not have touched on?
No. This is the base of it. You know, this is a good shell, like I said, to get everything started. So, you know, what I like to call them, you have your task and you have your subtask. So, you know, once you start all these things here, you know, start at the top, you know, you will add into your little subtask. So where you start planning at least 6 weeks in advance. At this point, you want to have your date with backup date for weather. So you're gonna document everything. You know, yes, you'll write down your backup dates, but you want to make sure you're creating these subtasks, having these sub plans. So not only do you have your backup date should have like a whole nother plan, because it's a whole new date. So you should have that new date planned out. It could be a different time, all that type of thing. So as you get into the planning process, you know, when you sign up for the course Sterling is going to have, you will learn more about that, you know, just learning how to, you know, progress your event and make sure like all the bases are covered, you know, because there's so many moving parts to an event, even the small events, you know, there's a lot of moving parts, you know, just having those moving parts planned out or thought out or written out, you know, that'll make everything easier for you. You know, like I said, you'll be able to enjoy your event. So that's the idea. You want to enjoy your event. So anyone else, do you have any questions? Anything?
I wanted to add something.
Mhm.
I think that I appreciate you having this meeting and all the comments, but I also want to say I know a lot of times, I'm not saying there's no men on here, but as women, we want stuff perfect and just don't take the fun out of it. So a lot of times we want it to be in our minds, we want it to manifest like it's in our heads, but sometimes it doesn't. And we need to just jump off the porch and just start the ideas. And if it sometimes one year something to mess up, the second year might do better. So we got to learn from our experiences and we can help each other, but it's just not going to always be perfect. It's just not. So I think we all want to take the fun. I think the important part is not taking the fun out of it, because your intent is your intent. But I think we sometimes just overthink things and we want it to be specific. I know I am, especially because I'm with my food. I'd be like, you got to look a certain way. And it just in my mind may look one way and everybody just like, no, it's not that serious, but it is to me. But I don't want to take the fun out of stuff. So that's just the lesson I learned. Just kind of let it flow. Don't get upset about it. You know what I'm saying? Just take it day by day. And sometimes it's gonna be a glitch. And hey, let's not just overthink it.
Now that is a great point. You know, I always say like in events or, you know, just with planning, like no one knows your plan but you. and your staff. So, you know, if something doesn't go according to plan, no one else knows that but you. So no reason
That's
to
so
be
true.
upset, right? You know, 'cause people, they're
That's
seeing
so
what they
true.
see. So they think, okay, this is what, you know, she's trying to present, or this is what she's giving us. So that's
Yeah.
what they're taking. They enjoy that. So if it doesn't work out according to you, only you know that. So it'll be all right. So that was a great, great point. All right, you got anything else you want to add, Sterling?
So, you can tell them about the application for the community events I have on the last slide.
Oh, yes. Yes. So if we have, I'm gonna add the application again. I did add it earlier. Let me go grab that. Give me 1 second. So if you do want more information, or if you want to learn more or plan your community event, go ahead and submit an application. Get that for you all. I'm about to add that to the chat right now.
Anybody who wasn't here tonight that might be interested in hosting an event, feel free to forward this application to them too.
Yep, and I added the application in the chat. So you know, you'll just get more information of what we talked about today. You'll get, you know, how to actually plan your event. I'm sure Sterling, you'll be walking through the steps and everything, the timeline.
Yeah, it won't be like a full another class,
Okay.
but I'll just be reaching out to the people who do fill out that application. I'll
Okay.
definitely elaborate on some events and just get more involved in each other's spaces and stuff.
Yeah, help you progress along with your ideas. So definitely fill out this application. Alrighty. Well, if that is it, if we have no more questions, I will let you all go for it. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to pest identification and management with Amanda of Finnegan Spark. I had to shut it off for a second, but we got the class. Okay, anyone else with questions before we end this evening?
I apologize. This is Tiffany from Red Flower Growers. I just want to make sure, because I can't reach her directly, that Michelle Manto gets my phone number and email address. I would like the information on purchasing the lots on Harmon. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, Michelle, did you get her information in the chat? Let me go back up. Yeah, I'm gonna copy it and I'll paste it to her. Let's see. Okay. She said she got it. I'm just gonna. Okay. Yep, you all are connected.
Thank you so much.
And Jaquita says she wants that information as well. Michelle, if you can reach out to her. All right. Well, that is it for Sterling and I. Get those applications in. And we look forward. Say that again, Sterling.
Thanks to everybody for coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, everyone have a good night.
Great job, guys. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. We see you in the next class. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Night.
Hold on, Sterling.